which is called an open container. It's a violation of the open container law. But they were letting people order takeout drinks like it's Louisiana or something. But they didn't care. And now the restaurants want to do that permanently. But they've passed all these regulations and laws that are totally at loggerheads, so to speak, with the earlier laws.
Yeah,
how can you allow drinking on the sidewalk, and when you have a law in the book saying drinking on the sidewalk is forbidden and it's a crime?
But Howie, I think if we're all inebriated, we might be, better sheep when it comes to putting the masks on. If someone has a few beers in them, they might be less aggressive.
I agree. I think it would go the other way. I'm not putting on that mask. You take that mask. Yeah. No, I don't think so, Grace. What do you got for news? This is time now for Grace's news.
Well, Howie, I was listening to your opening segments, and you said something I really agree with. You were talking about Chris Sununu, and you mentioned that he should just go cold turkey. And then you also mentioned other turkeys. You mentioned Charlie Baker when he was keeping track of the butterballs. But I wanted to talk about the first one, going cold turkey and really just breaking out of this. And when you said that, it made me think of a piece that I really liked. It was from a while ago. It was by David Marcus in The Federalist. And I was wondering, I want to read this to you and see what you think about it. He said, "A year is a long time, even when measuring a nation centuries old. A year is not a blip. It is more than enough time for the plastic of new realities to harden. The cages we have built for ourselves are sturdy now. We cannot simply slip out of them back to the lives we want and remember. We must destroy them. We must blow up the flinty ribs of these prisons of our own making. The first step in doing so is to finally admit that we should have never built them in the first place."
Yeah, exactly.
I thought you'd like that.
The first step is, that's what I keep saying, you need a 12-step program here. These people have to admit that they are mask-a-holics, that they are powerless to control this insane fear that they have of a seasonal virus.
And I think that's part of the reason that Fauci drives people really crazy is because there's so many levels of his dishonesty. And the truth is that I saw Chris DeGaulle say this today. He was like, there are people out there, and you've mentioned it, Howie, who want this to go on forever and who want to wear masks for the rest of their lives. And that's okay. But the first step is them just being honest about it. Right. You never want this to end. And that's the part of Dr. Fauci that drives people crazy because he keeps with a carrot, like, oh, it's soon, it's coming, it's soon. Just be honest with us. You want this to be a forever pandemic.
See, I would refine that a little bit, Grace, and I would say, is it that they want to wear the masks themselves forever, or do they want to be able to tell you and me to wear the masks forever? I think that gives them much more pleasure, being able to virtue signal to everybody else.
Yeah. Well, my dad was talking about that too, because when you think about it, and it's no disrespect to anybody, working at the grocery stores or, working anywhere, but it's a lot of people who usually aren't giving out orders. They're usually just chatting with people, whatever. And now they have this little bit of power. I don't know if you've experienced this, Howie, but there's a store, I won't name it, that I go to around here. And the cashiers love to tell you, hey, you got to stand on the X. They love it. They love to yell at you because they probably never got the chance to yell at people before. And now this is their plum opportunity to start screaming at people. And they don't want that to end either.
I want to return to the concept of a 12-step program. I think it's step 4. You have to apologize to people you have wronged with your behavior.
Oh, that would go on forever. But they don't think
Can
they've
you imagine if you
anyone.
had those people that have been hassling you about standing 6 feet back, if they had to apologize to everybody who came into the store and went to the checkout counter for like 3 weeks in a row? I'm sorry. I lost my mind. I became powerless to a mental malady that I could not control. The cult of panic porn.
It really is. I heard a wild story yesterday about a friend of mine who was going into a store, Howie, okay? Went into a store. This was probably a month ago. And went into the store. I think he was playing like the lottery or something like that. And he said to the guy who he knows pretty well from the store, "Oh, sorry, I forgot my mask." And the guy at the register was like, "Oh, that's okay. You're the only one in here. Don't worry about it." So he walked in, and then he's leaving the store, and a guy outside sees him and says, "Where's your mask, bleep, bleep?" And he turns to him and he says, "What'd you just say?" And he says, "I said, where's your mask, bleep, bleep." And he says, "You say that one more time, you're going to have an issue." And he turns back around and the guy goes, "Bleep." And so he turns around and starts chasing the guy. The guy turns back around and pepper sprays him in the face. And the police came and said, you have somewhat of a case, but it kind of looks like you're the aggressor because you get so annoyed with it. But this is the attitude. It's like they want to be able to call people jerks for not wearing masks. It's really strange.
Yeah. And I'm willing to say, I think other people have noticed this, that if you see people wearing a mask outside, walking or biking or doing any kind of physical exercise where there's nobody else around and they're still wearing a mask, I would be willing to bet 98% of them voted for Joe Biden, or at least didn't vote for Donald Trump.
Yeah, I think that's a big part of it is people want, it's like the coffee, it's like buying Andrew Cuomo or Hunter Biden's book and putting it on your coffee table. It's a signal to people, I'm on the left, I'm one of the good guys. And when I see people with the mask on, I'm like, we get it. You don't have to tell us. We know you voted for him. We understand. You voted for the moral and decent Joe Biden. All right, let's play some of this sound here, Howie.
781, by the way, says we need to start Mask-a-holics Anonymous. First we got to get Alcoholics Anonymous back meeting in church basements again, rather than by Zoom camera. Once we get AA back up and running, then we can start thinking, and all the other ones, NA, GA, then we can start thinking about MA.
Well, Howie,
this would be a good place to start it, though. MA, Massachusetts would be a good place to start Mask-a-holics Anonymous.
There's a lot of scary parts of this pandemic, but one thing that I think people don't realize enough is that, okay, so Howie Carr, Grace Curley, Taylor Cormier, we all have our own opinions. We're free thinkers, and we know this is kind of overblown. But when I go around my neighborhood and I'll see like young kids hanging out, biking, whatever, they all have the masks on when they're together. And they all have the masks on when they're outside, like 7-Eleven or something, hanging out. And it's become like they don't even realize that they have them on. They're just accustomed to it now. And they're young. So they're probably going to be okay with it if it goes on for another 5 years.
Yeah, these are great texts coming in. I was talking about they now have all these laws that contradict each other. 603 says, in Minnesota now, non-reusable grocery bags were illegal, and then they made reusable grocery bags illegal. So I guess it's illegal to have any kind of grocery bag in Minnesota.
Jared pointed something out today, Howie, in our building. The signs mandating that we wear masks while in the hallways have come down.
Really?
And now there's tape on the floors. I haven't seen it myself, but I think I did see some tape on the floor this morning.
What do you mean tape on the floor? What does that mean?
I don't know. Maybe some places.
I thought in Florida we knew the Publix were loosening the restrictions when the tape indicating one-way aisles came off. I don't know if that's a good thing if the tapes are going down. 619 says, I was at the DMV yesterday and the security guard, Minnie Mussolini, yelled at the group to stand 6 feet apart and that we weren't out of the, quote, woodwork. Unquote. You mean like termites?
But Howie, that's my point. It's people who haven't had a lot of authority in their lives who are finally getting it, and they love it. They love saying, hey, put your mask on.
Yeah.
And they're mean about it, a lot of them. I was at a lobby. I was skiing. This was like a month ago, and it was a completely empty area. It was like the part where you go and you take your boots off and you maybe get a sandwich, whatever. Of course, the cafeteria part of the ski resort was shut down because you can't have that anymore. And I'm sitting there, Howie, and there's like 10 tables. There's nobody in there. I'm the only person because I was waiting for my room to be ready. I'm the only person. The woman comes up to me and goes, "There's a time limit on these tables for 10 minutes." And I said, okay. And she said, you can't just hang out here. And I said, all right. And she said, did you sign in? Did you put your name down? Because there's a piece of paper on the table. I said, no. She goes, you have to. It's for the COVID. I literally took a big look around the lobby, and then I looked back at her. I'm like, do you see how wacky this is? We're the only two people in here. You came 2 inches away from my face to tell me about this. Doesn't make any sense.
You know, another thing, we got to get people to stop watching TV. That's another addiction. I guess it's part of the Mask-a-holic addiction. That's what you. That's one of the enabling drugs that keeps people hooked on their fear and their panic.
But Howie, occasionally there'll be a good cut on TV, and I played this today in my show, but I want to play it again for you. Gretchen Whitmer. You know, she was a star of this pandemic in the beginning. You know, she was going to be VP, but then she was a white woman, so that didn't work out. But she was on with Chris Hayes yesterday, and there was a random act of journalism, and I give no credit to Chris Hayes because he had nothing to do with it. But Gretchen Whitmer basically laid out what we've been saying for the past 6 months, which is it doesn't matter how much you lock the state down, that it doesn't have anything to do with the pandemic. So listen to what she said. She admitted how much of a fraud this is.
Well, we know that we are seeing a resurgence of COVID all across our state. And I think some of it is because we as a nation did not rally to beat this virus. We have turned on one another, and this virus has taken an incredible toll on us. We in Michigan still have smart policies in place. I don't currently have all the same powers I did a year ago, but we do still have a mask mandate. We do still have capacity requirements. I mean, we've got some of the strongest protocols in the country, and yet this virus has come raging back.
Chris Hayes is like, cut her mic. She's destroying the narrative.
I loved it when she said, we've turned on each other. So, in other words, the only way we can have national unity is that if everybody obeys the dictates of idiots like Gretchen Whitmer, right?
Well, you notice she says, I don't have all the powers I had a year ago, and all the people in her state are going, yeah, we know.
Yeah, there's a reason why we have a system of checks and balances in our government to prevent idiots like you from totally destroying the state. At least you give the legislature the chance to reclaim some of its powers. And in Michigan, I guess they did reclaim some of them.
Hey, Howie, I like what 339 said. It's mall cop syndrome. That's a good way to put it. You get some power and you just go crazy. You become Paul Blart.
Yeah. I know. That's why I'm really hoping in New Hampshire that a lot of these towns will leave it wide open enough so that so that there'll be like one bar on one side of the street that's still Karen Village, and the next one will be the good old boys across the street. I'd like to see who will prevail in the long term.
I think that's a new attraction in New Hampshire, Karen's Village.
But that's the funny thing, Howie. If that happens, the amazing thing is that one restaurant is going to get all the regular people who, maybe get a pitcher of beer, get a couple pizzas, and the other restaurant's going to have Karen drinking her chamomile tea and then going home at 6:30 to knit.
Right.
Who's going to do better, I wonder?
Get ready for all those emails from the chamomile tea drinkers in the audience.
And the crocheters. Please don't come for me. It's Friday.
Well, they'll write letters, not emails.
Yeah.
All right.
I'll wait a week.
Okay, see you for Police Blotter Facts Friday.
Thanks, Howie.
When it comes to car and home insurance, don't we deserve better? I know I do. I put my policy to the test and turned to Gabby. They literally stand for Get a Better Insurance. Getting better insurance with Gabby means a better price for the same insurance coverage. Who knew something like this even existed? They are the one true comparison platform with real rates. They give you an apples-to-apples comparison with your current coverage with 40 of the top insurance providers like Progressive, Nationwide, and Travelers. And all in one place. Use your current insurance information to get started, and in just minutes you'll be able to see quotes for the exact same coverage that you currently have. And it's free to use.
This is what we've been saying with Gabby, Howie. People get complacent. They go for the big names in the insurance game, and they just assume that they're getting the best deal because they're with a very recognizable company. But with Gabby, they're doing double checks and double checks on your record, on your policy that you already have, and they're making sure that they can beat anybody else out there.
Yeah, you do get complacent, especially if you set up a system where you're paying automatically through your checking account and it's just being debited, and you're losing hundreds of dollars a year. I mean, there's just no question about it. It took me about 5 minutes to set up the system, and I got quotes from 6 other companies. I ended up saving over $600 annually on my car insurance, over $600. I probably could have been saving it for at least 10 years, but I didn't bother. I was stupid. Don't make the same mistake I did. Gabi customers, on average, save $961 per year, and they'll never sell your info, so no annoying spam or robocalls. Put your policy to the test as I did. Get a better insurance with Gabi. It's totally free to check, and there's no obligation. Go to Gabi.com/Howie. That's GABI.com/Howie. 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 I'm Howie Carr.
The Howie Carr Show.